It blows my mind that it used to take me 2 months to create a new level. Now it only takes about 70 minutes. Hi, by the way, my name is Kevin and this is Paperclay, a 3D platformer collectathon where you rotate and unfold your way through a world that's made out of cardboard, paper, and other handcrafted materials. I'm getting close to have almost worked on the game for 2 years during evenings and weekends, and the best way of supporting Paperclay right now is wishlisting it on Steam, and then taking that link and sending it to a friend that you think would like it. In today's video, I want to show you what I've done to speed up my workflow, and hopefully it can help you as well. Here's what I'm using to get a fast workflow. I create some assets that are needed for the decorations. I use splines for my platforms and I think it's great. The walls and top edge is now a thin, tall piece. Before it was individual pieces and a platform could take up to 20 minutes to decorate. Now it only takes 1 minute and everything is together so you can quickly swap out platforms to get variations. I can store materials in these tall pieces into scriptable objects, and just like that I've got tile sets for a quick workflow. I should mention that I'm working towards getting the levels to a playtest ready point, not to a state where it's final. I feel that when a player is testing, it's best if they can almost get the real experience because they'll be more honest. If they run around in this gray boxed level, they might hold back on some thoughts since it's obvious the game isn't finished. So I have decorations pieces that I can quickly swap out among variants based on where they are in world space. I can decorate an area and make sure there's a clear path for the player to guide the eye where they need to go. Here's the code that I've got. To achieve this, you can pause the video if needed. Then here's the prefab. It's set up using game objects almost like folders, and I hope this speeds it up for you. My skills and understanding of art is constantly growing, and I feel like I'm entering a phase where I'm getting things done visually. I wish I could take this moment or energy, whatever you want to call it, and put it in a bottle, but sadly I can't. After I made the level very fast, I decided to break down why that went faster than I was expecting, and one of the aspects was that I didn't spend time on adjusting values to get the correct color and so on. I already had made the environment good with colors in the sky and assets that I needed. That's when it hit me that I should make tiny dioramas of different levels to prepare myself for when I get to them. Some of you might be thinking that there's a risk that I'll work on something that might not be in the game or even good enough to keep. You might be right, but it also might be the opposite. This area in the book forest is only a small portion of the level, but looked visually impressive, and thanks to the reception online, I decided to make the entire level like this. I'll get back to this later in the devlog, don't you worry. I had this vision for a dark snow cave where you had to carry glowing objects. I gave it a quick try one evening and I realized that it was visually cool, but might be annoying for the player to not see fully where to go at all times. I still want it in the game, but probably make this level smaller or a different structure where you walk back and forth in a small area instead of a linear level. There's room for an interesting NPC here, so we'll see what happens with that. But imagine if I made a linear level that was going to be a dark cave, and then when the visuals were implemented, I realized that it wouldn't work gameplay wise thanks to the visuals. I'm not saying that this is the best approach, but it has certainly affected 2 levels already based on how cool they are or how well the idea works. This also gives me an early look of the variations of my levels visually. If I have a screenshot of them side by side, it will help me make sure that there are visually variations along the game. And in some cases, it can also spark ideas for a direction I've yet to explore, such as this yellow-orange vibe. For some reason, the word yellow lake comes to mind, but we'll see what happens with a level like this. But what makes a good level? Of course, it's different from each game. It varies a lot based on genre. After some years in the industry, you can probably skip a few early steps here. But I believe that this is an iterative process and should be allowed to take some time. What is required for a level to feel fun to play and to push the player forward? Right now in Paperclay, each level has a main mechanic and then a secondary mechanic. For example, here we have the rotating or moving spinners that damage you as the main mechanic. The secondary mechanic is the moving platforms. Not breaking any ground here on the 3D platformer genre, but this is a very simple angle to look at it. Between these areas in the levels, we'll have some common mechanics to freshen things up, such as jump pads or rings that you jump through, breaking boxes, or this unfolding bridge where you have to move fast in order to grab the orb without falling down. I'm thinking of small things that break focus from the mechanics of the level, so you're not doing this one or two things all the time in a level. Then in some cases, I do have level specific mechanics that are often the results of cool ideas that might not fit everywhere. For the book forest, I had falling books that were a perfect fit. It was previously just a dumb idea that I explored but didn't know where to put it. Or at the end of a level, just rotate it entirely and go back on what used to be the ceiling. To be clear though, I think this might be too much if every level was like this, but one or two here and there can be a fun design challenge for me. While the focus for Paperclay is to make sure kids around 10 years old can complete the main game, I do want to encourage more skilled players to try and skip certain areas if they combine the moves correctly, if they want to. This can also be used to find secrets, which are going to be fun for me to design, so I'm looking forward to that. On the topic of a good level, obviously we have the jumping around, having platforms in various heights to encourage normal jump, double jump, and possibly glider over a gap. If you're more of a dash person yourself, you can do that as well. Instead of only going forward, rotate the path for more variation. This might seem unnecessary to bring up, but I think there's people out there that might not initially think of these small things that do make a difference. Also, exploring how many coins I should throw at the player because it's really fun to grab them. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Honestly, this was a fun thing to talk about, ingredients and what makes a good level. I can see room for more deep dive on this in a future video, but we'll see what happens. The Book Forest. The name of the level was fun, and I had some plans for it. As mentioned previously in the video, I explored with small dioramas to set the tone, and I got into a creative zone, and I used splines to make these fun shapes of stacked books. This made something click for me. I noticed how I loved feeling small in a big world. What helped must be that you know how big a book is compared to looking at a simple cardboard wall. You can't directly compare it, but it's easier to get an understanding of your own size as a player standing next to a book. The second thing is, I want to be more playful with the world around you. I might not have grasped everything about this yet, but I know the feeling I'm chasing now. This will hopefully make Paperclay stand out even more. I almost forgot. I added a new enemy type that was flying around, and as you get closer, it starts to chase you. I do have ideas how to make it better by aligning itself to heights so you can attack it more easier, but I'll save that for the future. Also, I got a suggestion to add googly eyes. I was initially against it, but I think I've been proven wrong. They're good. They're good. So here's the thing. I've been playing around with outfits. It might not be the best approach technically behind the scenes, but I got them working. So that might be a thing that I'll have in Paperclay outfits. If you got cool ideas, throw them my way. I'd love to hear it. So while the phrase making a level in 70 minutes isn't fully true if you look at the details, I still believe that it's a good idea to make a tiny diorama for the visuals and atmosphere of a level, decide which mechanics should be there, and then from there, make the level. Working within limitations or set boundaries helps push my creativity, so I'm trying to place myself in that situation. If you've got great tools, then that process of building a level and having it 80% visually there within hours is a great feeling. Then playtest will hopefully be more fun and you'll have a better level in the end, thanks to all this back and forth iterating on the level. That is all I have for now. Wishlist Paperclay, and take care, you know the deal. Be a good person. Bye!